question. Would love to hear from Gary and Marie about their fostering journey. How did they get started? How to navigate when your spouse is not 100% on board? Where do people start when they are interested? Thanks for sharing the content.
Well,
not everyone at the same time here. Look how mild Gary is when Marie's around. He's just a quiet little mouse.
Sober second thought, right? That's what he always says. That I'm the sober second thought. No.
Submissive husband.
I wish. I don't really. Things are fine. I mean, where do we start with this question? Do we start at the beginning or like?
Do you need to do what I normally do, which is run over top of you and just start talking, and then it gives you time to think?
No, just I don't want you to. You could have answered the question when I'm not here, but
people can add and put it at 2.0 speed.
Well, I just don't know. Do I start like?
How did you decide?
How did you get into the place where you would decide to adopt?
Well, I was the reluctant spouse. I was the one that did not want to adopt or foster.
Because?
I had that was never on my heart. When I was growing up and as a kid, that was not something that I even really knew about or had any. Like, I knew that people did that, but I didn't really know anything about that. So I just didn't have any connection to that. And my thoughts and my plans and my goal and my desires for my life was that I was going to be a mom. And that's what I wanted to do. And I did not ever think that was going to be in a non-traditional way. So when we got married and then we were struggling with infertility, that was just like tragic to me. And I did not see how God could give me such a desire to be a mom and then not allow me to have children. And like that would be my whole goal and intention and like heart for my life, and then have that be impossible. Like that did not make sense to me. And I didn't see any other option as a viable option. So Gary had presented it a few times and I shut it down very clearly. Like I said, I will never adopt, I said. And I mean.
How long into the marriage was this?
Less than 2 years.
Okay. And you guys knew pretty quickly that.
Yeah, we adopted Noah in 2024, and
2014, yeah, and we got married.
Or 2014,
in 2010.
and we got married in 2010. So we went from like married, infertility, starting the adoption process. Like we started the adoption process. Yeah. So by year 2, we knew that we
did some testing,
and that was not going to happen.
Very unlikely we'd have kids.
And even through like. Just like basic fertility treatments of like taking hormones and stuff, that was not going to work, or it didn't work. And I was in bad shape, like mentally and emotionally.
Were you angry or like what was the?
No, it just like it messes with your hormones so bad.
Oh, taking all that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So then I was just not in a good, and I was obviously like grieving too.
Yeah.
Through
and
that.
Young. And just figuring it out.
I was 22.
Okay, wow. That is young.
Yeah. So,
just started farming.
Yeah. Gary
Husband
worked like...
You were 36?
It was close. No, I was 27 or 28, 29.
Yeah. But Gary was working like...
5 till 11 every day.
Yeah.
And 5 till in the morning till 11 at night every day.
Yeah.
For probably a good...
Because you had won her over, so you didn't even have to...
That's right.
So
Box checked.
Carry on. So... it took like through.
It's unchecked now, just so you know. It's unchecked.
Beautiful.
Really working.
So it took quite a bit of like when we decided that we would work on private adoption. That's kind of where I'm like, okay, let's think about like infant adoption. So in BC, you can adopt a lot of different ways, but one of the ways is private infant adoption, which is where you pay basically to be on a wait list. You do a whole process, you do education, you do a home study, and then somebody that is pregnant that is looking for a plan for their baby can place a baby for adoption.
And they pick from a list.
Pick from you create a book of who you are and all that. So,
And do you remember, how did you get to be okay with that part? Do you
I
remember that?
bargained my way through that process.
Okay.
Yeah, I said, okay, we'll just do this meeting. Okay, we'll do the home study. Okay, we'll do this. And then
Just one step at a time.
one step at a time. And I wasn't, it just felt, I guess it was just a grief-riddled process for me, really. Like, that I was surrendering.
And why were you okay with it right away? Or way sooner?
Different personality. Way less. I think it probably is different for men as a general rule. Maybe not always. You wouldn't want to stereotype that. But most guys I talk to do not feel the grief of infertility like women. And actually, that is very hard on a marriage. Just that difference is very hard. Men feel trapped because if they share how they feel, they're not being supportive of their wife because their wife is obviously really feeling it.
Yeah.
Women live in a world, especially in our culture, in our community specifically, of people getting married, having babies, being pregnant, sharing their story, being pregnant. And for me, I had fostered as a young guy. I've always kind of had, I mean, Marie could tell, it's a whole nother conversation we could have about my heart for the people that struggle and the problems it's caused in our marriage. Even recently, very funny story. I don't know if she feels like she can share it, but.
Not today.
Not today. Another day.
That's another subject for
It's another subject. But yeah, just the idea of, hey, I was probably there in my head and just I'm so pragmatic. I'm pragmatic to a fault. And I think a lot of guys are. I think it's very problematic in a marriage. It's like the feelings, facts conversation. For me, it's just like, hey, we'll talk about the facts. This will be solved very quickly.
Yeah.
Well, that's not how relationships work. That's not how Marie's
Life
mind
works,
works. Yeah, and I think...
Well, also, I was 22.
Yeah.
Like,
I never allow any grace for growing up, right?
And Gary was however old that he was at that 28. And he wasn't like I had
28.
graduated high school and got married, and he had like lived a whole life.
Yeah.
And I had not. So then
Normally she says, and he's been to prison multiple times.
And he just expected me to be like a full adult with the same life experience as him, and that just wasn't true. But also, like, yeah, to this day, even like, as much as I have 6 kids and I have all like the infertility piece is still a very present part of my life, and like at every function with groups of women, every single time you are together in groups of, let's say, 3 or more women, the conversation goes to pregnancy, childbirth, how, if you had a C-section or a natural birth, or how this worked for you, or breastfeeding, or any of that stuff. And that is not a conversation that I can be a part of. Mm-hmm. And that every single time. And like, it doesn't super bother me, but like,
still
it definitely bothers other people, and Marie is very gracious in that. And I remember I was pragmatically walking her through it, and to be fair, like, some of it needed to happen. Like, when you are struggling with infertility and people say dumb things, no different than anything, you have to be okay with people being stupid. People are stupid and people say dumb things, usually just out of ignorance, not out of trying to be hurtful. Yeah. So Marie, often people would say hurtful things, or just, and she was hurt, or you start to get in a spot where all your family members and siblings, sisters are having babies, or, all your friend group, and Marie worked through it. I remember how you were just hurting.
Even like my sisters were both pregnant together at the same time, and like, that's just, I don't know. There's just like little things that, like, are they the end of the world? No, but they're little like sticky grief points along the journey. I mean,
just like when people don't grow up with a dad, and a bunch of guys talk about their relationships with their dads.
Yeah.
There's different life things that you can't really
totally. And I don't think that people like need to do anything different or say anything different to me about it. But it's just the reality of it that like if I were talking to somebody that is working towards adoption, like, adoption is not fixing infertility. Like, that, it does not fill those holes. It does not, like, people look at, like, if you look at me and you see me and you don't know me, you would not assume that I am infertile, right? Yeah. People do not assume that. So and that, I don't know, it doesn't, not that I need people
For those
to,
that are listening, we have a lot of kids, and some of them are less than 9 months apart. So that's why we're laughing.
but it just,
The way the
like,
adoptions
people are like,
worked
oh,
out.
you must be busy. I'm like, well, like, you know, they like insinuate that you're just like
Fornicating all the
making a
time.
lot of babies. And I'm like, well,
Yeah, we
not
wish.
really. But anyways, like, I don't know. You just, yeah.
Fair enough. Okay, so
So I bargained my way through that process, and I would still say now that, like, if you're in that infertility place and because that's a lot of what spurs people to adoption is infertility, which isn't, I don't think, a bad thing, but you just have to be aware that you're gonna be dealing with this in some way, shape, or form forever. Well, I guess unless you get miraculously pregnant at some point in time, but I don't know. Anyway, then so
did you ever get an answer to why God allowed this to happen this way? Like, did you ever get?
I think more now I can look back and see, like, how the process has grown and refined me, and how the kids that I have grown and refined me, and how the mom that I am now is because of the challenges that my kids have and the way that I have to advocate, and, like, that's basically my life is therapy and dealing with really difficult struggles with kids. And I mean, in the foster care world, like, I'm considered a professional parent because of all the training and like certification and stuff that I continually do. But so I guess I see the purpose of it, and because of how my heart was then, like, I never would have done those things, and I wouldn't be the woman of faith or of a parent or wife that I am, because it's just been a slow dying to myself. And even when I thought that I had nothing, there was nothing of me left to surrender, like, oh no, I just get like one more kid, and like, oh no, there was something left, and
Grind
now
some
there's
more.
nothing else.
Okay.
So that
Sorry, guys. I just want to pause a second. I want to talk to you about.
he has to go to a foster
ministry
home.
approved home.
And
Yeah.
it is almost impossible to find somewhere for him to go. Because
And he's
there's
not that. He's 3 or like he's whatever.
Yeah,
he's
he's
Turkey,
not-
but he's not that big of a deal, right?
Yeah,
Like, it's
yeah.
just-
Yeah,
it's
but
one
it's a
kid.
whole process to become a respite home. But it's such a blessing for us, for families like ours, to be able to have somewhere that is safe, that we feel good about, that can take our kid for the week. I mean, lots of play, and probably, like, we've been in this situation in the past with some of our other kids when they were still, before we adopted them, where things were really tough. Like, when Kingston and Gracie and Sky were babies, like, they were all babies together at the same time, and we were exhausted. And so they went to respite every other weekend, or Gracie and Sky did,
Just for a season.
for a season. And that is, like, we needed that break. We needed that sleep. We needed that time with our older kids. And
That's the other thing, right? When you get in that space, and those are the reasons that people don't do it, right? Those would be the arguments where it'd be like, hey, the safety of my other kids. There's a lot of reasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think
a lot of it is just not wanting to inconvenience your life.
which makes sense.
Yes.
Which makes sense.
And
Because
I would
we're
say,
humans. We all like things to be more
I-
comfortable.
A lot of, like, foster care is an inconvenience in your life. That's my alarm to tell me I have to go pick up my kids from
You're good.
school.
You're good. We got a minute.
So it is.
So where do people start if they're interested? If they want to at least start with the respite care, is that just you go to bcministries.com or something? Or?
I
There's a
can
page,
find
you'd
the
find
link.
it. You
If you
could Google
Google
it, you'd
foster
find it.
care, British Columbia foster care, you'll find the page, and then you do a application form. Sometimes you go to I think it's a Zoom, like, info meeting where they
And
talk
they try to
about
talk
it.
you out of it, which is
They
great.
do,
They
yeah.
do a good job.
Yeah.
They try to talk you out of it.
Yeah.
They'll talk about the hardships. They're in
Yeah.
defense of the ministry as a general rule. And in Chilliwack, we have great social workers, great
Yeah.
team. We feel we've been really blessed. We've had a few challenges, but overall, we feel very well supported.
And then you do so one of the obstacles, and it's what keeps people out of it a bit, is that to become just even a respite provider, you have to do a home study. So that is like
They just dig, right? They ask all kinds of
8 or
weird
10
questions.
meetings where they ask you questions about your life, and they write a
just not
whole
that big of
report
a deal.
about your family. And
Yeah.
that's
The thing
Yeah.
is, too, is that the thing that's cool is that, and I mean, I just ranted a bit earlier, but like the bulk of the people that are fostering in our circle are Christians or a good jag of them.
but not at like, that's the people that we know. That's not.
In Chilliwack, though, there is a good swath of people that are. No?
Yeah,
Okay.
there is, but that's I wouldn't say half of the foster homes in Chilliwack are Christian.
It's interesting. I think it was Pastor Matt said in a recent sermon, if you want Jesus to be your Savior, you also have to have Him Lord of your life. But not like, so you're not Lord of your life anymore. So it's not about what you want or don't want. It's about what does God want you to do. And I think that's kind of what this whole topic presses on me when I'm thinking about it, is like, because I have this internal resistance to the idea as well. Like, how is this going to affect my 3 boys if I foster and do all these things? And they're like, wait a minute, is it about what I want, or is it about what God wants me to do? And if I believe I'm a Christian, then it's not actually, I shouldn't think about it. I should, pray about
Live
it.
open-handedly.
And, but there's a deal, like, I had a moment with one of our older kids yesterday, and where the weight of being a sibling, and she's adopted, but she is much healthier and more stable than some of our other kids, and she carries the weight and the burden of being a sister to some of our more challenging kids, and it is heavy and it is hard.
It affects everybody, yeah.
And
it really does.
it is a challenge, and so it takes like wise parenting on my side to be a good support to her and to also protect her when I can. So the way we do things in our house is probably different than other people do them. Like, none of our kids, if we had in a perfect world, none of our kids would share a bedroom. Right now 2 kids do, but otherwise, because everybody needs their own space, and like, there's just certain things that we have to really
That are
be
very, very different than a typical home with all
because we're trying, as much as everybody's equally loved, everybody has to be treated very differently because their needs are so different. And so does it 100% affects your kids? Do I think that it's all negative? No, I think that it's shaping. Yeah, and I think if we can guide that and provide the support adequately for our older kids, then I think that it can be a gift to them, but it does.
And I guess,
it
is
is a
it fair to
journey.
say we're not at times? And I think that's really what all
Totally.
parents probably need to admit. So when we prayed last night was a good example because it was a total gong show. It was a disaster dinner. Or leading up to dinner was a disaster. And it's like, hey, when we prayed at supper, it was just praying, like, just sharing the gospel with the kids. Like, mom and dad are sinful. We fall short.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
desperately need the Lord. You kids, whether you see it or not, desperately need the Lord.
That's all of our
Right?
sanctification
I know.
is.
And I guess that it's like, hey, if you were willing to live in that, I don't think you're going to stiff arm. Back to the actual question. You're never going to stiff arm your spouse. You're not going to guilt trip your spouse. You're going to pray for your spouse that their heart would be there. You're going to share your heart because you're allowed to do that in your marriage. And then you're just going to wait for them to catch up. And like with Marie and I too, I probably was more forceful than I needed to be because that's my nature, unfortunately. But as a general rule, we were on the same page. She went willingly to all the stuff. It wasn't as if she's miserable and coming along and, oh, my husband like, it wasn't like that,
and
right?
it was like, it's just definitely been a process, much more of a process for me. And
even doing it, it's been very like.
well, it's also the majority of the struggle of it is for me to carry, right?
Yeah, sure.
Like, so
I'm really good at loading up the pack meal.
See, I got hay to sell.
All the best with those 6 kids.
yeah.
Looks like you
Should I
got her
buy this
dialed in.
business? What do you wish people would understand about families that foster, and what do they need? I know you guys help a lot of other people and have a big impact, but what do you wish that people in the church would understand more about your guys' journey, and how could they help besides prayer, which obviously is huge? But is there certain things that are really beneficial that people do and help you guys? Because obviously fostering has its challenges and adoption.
Oh man, I don't know.
I could say things.
We're pretty well, like,
Yeah,
people
we are.
support us really well.
Not saying that you need it, but maybe there's other
Like,
families that are fostering.
encouragement is really helpful. Like, especially, like, my kids act different than anybody else's kids act. Like,
To varying degrees.
to varying degrees. But
It's pretty encouraging, actually, now that you say that. You think about, because we sit in the front at church, mostly because I'm too distracted and I don't want to see the looks of people turning around looking at us, so I just sit right in the front, so only the pastor frowns at me. But, like, people often come up after church and are encouraging, which is pretty special, because I know at other churches that's not necessarily the case. You act out, you are a horrible parent. Like, take the kid out back and give him a tune-up, right? Yeah. So, there again, I'm not saying
like we had a kid that was trying to blow out the candles on the Advent thing during the sermon, like
I mean, I would do that too when I was a kid, and I wasn't adopted,
so it's
are you sure?
Well,
trust me, I am sure. I'm sure. No, I'm sure.
Like, encouragement is helpful, and like offering people that offer me parenting advice, like it's not helpful because unless you have parented kids like mine, you don't understand. Like, my kids' brains are not the same.
Yeah.
So it's that, encouragement is helpful. Understanding, like, we were at skating the other day, and like one of our youngest kid was throwing an absolute fit, and like lots of people knew me and saw me, and 3 people came and asked me if they could help me. Well, one...
They did help. There was random people.
Yeah.
It's pretty
one
amazing.
Came and said, like, oh, Marie, can I help you?
That's
and I said, yeah, can you
event.
go get Gary? And then somebody else, oh, Marie, can I help you? And like, oh, can you take this kid's skates off? And like, and I think...
What I think is cool about
help,
that, actually...
But help is a two-way street, because people offer to help all the time. But you have to have an idea of how people can help you and be willing to accept help.
Well,
even if it's something like, could I have managed to do all of it by myself when the kid's throwing an absolute fit at skating? Yeah, I could have. But I had 3 people that I know offer to help me. So I can say, yeah, you know what? This kid's trying to get her skates off. She'll happily, or whatever, miserably wait. Or I can say, hey, can you take her skates off? And you can go get Gary for me. And I can ask people to do something. So it's to be able to think, what's next on your list that you can tell this person to do. So in our like deepest, darkest struggles of times where life was really hard, I had a list on my phone of what I needed help with. I needed somebody to pick up this kid from school. I needed help with my laundry. I just had practical, and then when somebody say, what can I do? Like, can I help you in some way? I could say, this is my list. And if you can't do any of those things, that is totally fine. But these are the things that I need help with right now.
But I think even learning to ask for help or being able to receive it is something you learn. I'm assuming that wasn't always that way. At least how we grew up, asking for help isn't that romanticized.
No, and it's still like, it is humbling to accept help.
But it's also really refreshing, because I remember I was at your house, I don't know, a couple months ago, and I was running after you on your kids with a Nerf gun, and there was Nerf bullets everywhere. And I'm like, hey, do you want me to help pick those up? And you were like, yeah, please. And I was like, oh, that was really refreshing. Like, because you were just like, yeah, I need help. And a lot of people would be like, no, it's fine, whatever else like that.
No,
You're
it's
like,
not fine.
It's not exactly.
Nothing's
it's not.
fine.
But you owned it. That must be something that you've, maybe through the fostering journey, you've learned just to be able to say yes to?
Yeah, and I also have had to kind of get over having people in my house.
Which Marie hated. So a lot of people are like that. A lot of women do not want other people in
Well, it is
their house
uncomfortable to feel like you can't, like, it's easy to feel like you can't live your normal life because you have people in your house. And I have, like, a lot of the help that I need is by having people in my house.
There's still areas of growth there. I think even just the idea of like, hey, you can sit down and you could read a kid a book or sit and do nothing with a kid, and that would be okay. And that's hard.
Yeah, I mean, that's
like
that's
Marie
hard
still
for
struggles.
anybody, yeah.
Like somebody else is working there. I'm like, hey, they're getting paid to work. It's, and there we're more blessed than most because we do have a lot of help. I think that there's people. I think just acknowledging and encouraging. We got to wrap this up here.
Yeah,
but,
I do.
I think just people just being encouraging is a huge, huge piece. And I think what's not helpful is saying I could never do that. That just needs to stop.
Yeah, or you're such a saint.
Yeah, no, we are really,
I'm
really,
just a human.
really savage.
When somebody says that, what I'm imagining is they are looking at like or thinking how hard this is and that they could never do it. And I'm like, or how much they would struggle in doing
how
it.
they
Like,
don't wanna do it,
I am
yeah.
struggling just as much as you imagine that you would struggle. Like,
Yeah.
when you think I would not have patience to deal with that. Like, no, I don't either. Like,
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Right?
And the other thing is that whatever you have, I mean, comparison is a thief of joy. And the idea of how we live in our society comparing is ridiculous. There's women that have 11 kids and run a tight ship. There's people that have one kid and that is all they can handle just because of their makeup or their history. That is totally fine. We don't need to be looking at people comparing.
I totally agree. I just also know that
No, she said that was a but at the end. She didn't
No.
say but.
I just also know that when I had 2 kids,
You didn't realize how
Parenting-
much time you had, eh?
well, parenting was really hard. It felt like very difficult, and it just was a struggle. But
Whatever you have is a lot. That's the saying I
yeah,
always say.
so
Whatever you have is a
then when I had 3 kids, that was a lot. And then when I never had 4 kids. I went from 3 to 5. So everything was a lot. All
God will
the
also
way
give you
through.
the grace of what you need when you need it. I mean, you see that.
Or not. Or you just literally come to the end of yourself. Like, I think
Well,
the
that's-
idea of God will give you what you need. Like, sometimes you just don't have it. And I think that is really, really where you get
But
sanctified,
it's like when you see
right?
someone get like stage 4 cancer, they know they're
Yeah.
going to die, and be like, "Oh, I could never
Go through that with that
stuff like
grace, yeah.
Well, they couldn't either until they had it and they went through it.
Yeah,
Right,
exactly. Yeah. And that's totally that. Be like, oh, you just don't know what you're capable of until you're doing it. But it's
We need to wrap
2:44
up.
and
What's your
school is
favorite?
done
We'll
in
wrap
1
up. What's
minute.
your favorite, Marie? What's the thing that you have enjoyed most about our journey of fostering and adopting? What do you think is the most special thing about it?
When kids that like the growing attachment with my kids, like as like kids get just the closeness that has grown over time, like because a lot of this parenting is not about how you feel, like it's a lot of a choice. So when that feeling lines up with that choice, like that's one of the biggest, like
Joy.
it feels like, yeah. But also I would say like the growth in myself and the sanctification process for myself, like I just really am
You're 100 times the lady you were when I married you. You were pretty awesome when I married you.
I'm thankful.
Oh, this guy. How is he growing?
Just his head.
How like through this process? Yeah. Well, I would say like one of the biggest things lately is just that we're really on a team. Like we're the best team that we've ever been.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I think that we're in a stage of parenting that we need,
Oh yeah. All
like
hands
our
on deck.
our parenting needs both parents as much as possible. And so that, whereas when the kids were littler, it could just be me and that's all that was really needed. But now, like, yeah. So I think
Thanks,
that's
Marie.
the.
We'll wrap up this podcast while you're
Yeah.
gone. We can keep going.
Thank you
We're
very much.
going hard.
Very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Are you gonna grab Dom or I gotta grab?
You got to grab 'em. Throw them in the van.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna leave.
A little late. Text somebody once you're driving. Are we still going?
Yeah, we're still going.
Yeah. That was good.
Move over here.
Switcheroo.
There we go. I don't have much to add anymore. Do you have anything
No.
to say? What'd you think of that? She did well.
Yeah. Yeah, Marie's very good communicator. Yeah, I think part of what's lost in that conversation, I think you could probably talk to Marie for 3 hours about it. About
Oh, yeah,
her
there's
journey.
there's
a lot to unpack there. I
Yeah.
think the part that even this last part about her attachment is just the story of our children and how kids have come and gone. We've transitioned kids back to be with their birth families, and then it hasn't worked out. And yeah, we've just had a lot of things that you really can't even imagine how brutal it is, and that's just how life is, and life's hard. And I think that was the crux. If there was something to be taken from it, it's don't shy away from something just because it does feel completely impossible, right? And but also don't run into things just because you think it's a great thing to do. Like seek wisdom,
Seek counsel.
seek wise counsel, seek wisdom. If your two closest friends say you do not have the capacity to be a foster parent or adoptive parent, unless they're horrible friends, I mean, that's probably sage advice. And if your parents and everyone else is not, you know, it takes a village, right, to raise an idiot. So you want to make sure that you got your village with you.
Yeah. If people have questions, send them in about this topic, though, and maybe Marie will come back.
She could come back
or
on, yeah.
you can ask them, answer the questions. I actually would love to have Nicole and Marie on the show as part of the live event that we do, a section of live event where they were joining us on stage. But I don't know if I can convince either of them to do that. So.
Oh, Marie don't care. Marie's totally up for that. Whatever I tell her, she does.
Just
So
got to
we're
get
good.
my half.
She's good.
Yes, Gary.
Yes, Gary.
Where, Gary?
Yeah. Oh, hi.
Okay.
That says pardon.
I think
How long are we at here, Kyle?
We are at 42 minutes.
Time goes fast when my wife's voice is talking.
Yeah, this is my fourth podcast recording today.
Your head must be pounding.
So I am ready to cap it. I really wish it wasn't raining so I could.
Go for a run. You
I'll
can run
probably
in the
go
rain.
anyway. But
Yeah, up the hill.
yeah.
Okay, guys.
Peace. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, take
Cheers.
care. Have a great week.
Hey guys, if you enjoyed that episode and were blessed by it, would you be willing to support the show? That would help a lot in creating more content, improving the quality of the content, putting the production value, getting more guests on, and me being able to spend more time and energy towards it. So if you're interested in doing that, you can click up here and it'll take you to a support page. But you can also subscribe to the podcast by clicking over here and doing that. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one.